Omeka caught my eye because it looks professional, easy to use, things like that, and for what I wanted to do, which was create a mini archive of sorts, it looked like the way to go. It markets itself as an online exhibit builder, and in the end that's exactly what I came up with.
I chose to use Drupal knowing that it would be a challenge, but I really wanted something that could produce a website that was very customized, had lots of different types of tools, and I also know that if I learn to use Drupal now, I'll be able to use it well into the future to create sites that do things that are really interesting and different, and very visual and interactive.
At first, getting started with Omeka was terrifying and very difficult. I spent a lot of hours trying to install the full version of Omeka, and it really didn't go well. I couldn't figure it out. But then I switched to Omeka.net, which is a free service that Omeka offers where they host your website, and you can plug in modules, and so it's very user-friendly, but it limits your options immediately. But starting out with Omeka.net was just easy. You can have a website in 30 seconds. As opposed to the full Omeka, which is a bit more of a journey.
I knew that getting started with Drupal would be a challenge, so I decided to take a 2-day class at the British Columbia Institute of Technology, and having an instructor there who could show me how to install Drupal and then troubleshoot for me when I had some challenges in the beginning was really essential. Even still, it's been really hard to actually get started with Drupal. When I look at what Ben has been able to create in a couple months versus what I've been able to create, I do wonder if going with something like Omeka might not be a better option for a lot of people. I've seen how powerful Drupal is, and I'm looking at this as a long-term investment in my capacity to use it.
Appearance was quite limited because there was only 4 themes that I had to work with. They're all style sheets that you can't modify. It does make it easier because everything you do just ends up being streamlined appearance-wise, and it all looks the same, and there's no you don't have to worry about defects or things like that. It was a bit difficult trying to get exactly the appearance I wanted sometimes with those style sheets that couldn't be modified.
So far, I haven't been able to achieve the appearance that I wanted. Drupal does allow you to customize your theme, but you have to learn how to do that, and that's going to be my first project for the new year. At this point, I've not even been able to remove titles from Drupal in places where I don't want them to actually appear. However, it has been relatively easy to create a graphic for my own customized homepage. Now it's just a matter of learning how to make that graphic interactive.
For the functionality, Omeka.net was pretty good. They had this one feature that really made things easier, which is called Simple Pages. It's a module that you can enable. So I was able to add a link called Explore, which I had seen on a different archive and caught my eye. And when you go to that, it just lists ways of using the website, which wasn't a page that they have built into Omeka.net, but I was able to add it through the Simple Pages. But the Google Docs viewer that comes with Omeka.net isn't very impressive. It's kind of hard to use. I wanted to provide users with a way to easily read through the documents that I was uploading and talking about and trying to share. And so what I ended up doing was linking to an external site called Issue. Unfortunately, I couldn't embed the issue viewer onto the website because of the style sheets in Omeka.net, so I ended up linking to the external site, and that wasn't ideal, but it ended up giving users a more accessible option of reading these documents than was available just on Omeka by itself.
So far, achieving the functionality that I imagine for my website has been pretty tough. The way that Drupal works is the version you start with when you first install it is quite simple and doesn't do that much, but you can easily extend it by installing what are called modules. Finding a module that does what I wanted to do is relatively easy. There are thousands that have been created by the Drupal community and contributed for free. Actually getting those modules to work is another matter. I've started working with the map module, but really haven't had much success with it thus far. Again, this is something that will just have to be a much longer project, so another 4 to 6 months to get it done to the point that I'll be happy with it, even just as a demonstration. I'd say the biggest challenge so far has just been the amount of time that it takes to teach yourself to use Drupal. What it can do is pretty amazing, but learning how to do those things is very time consuming. I think down the line I'll be able to produce something that is very beautiful and does things that Omeka doesn't do, but just in terms of getting started in the first few months, I just haven't been able to actually create much compared to what Ben's been able to do. I definitely recommend that more digital humanists learn how to use things like Drupal, but you need to recognize that this is kind of a long-term investment in your skill set.
There were several challenges that came up over the course of this project which were illuminating. At one point I had to switch and just come at it as a learning experience as opposed to putting the pressure on myself of putting out some polished, finished product, you know. Trying to install the full Omeka was kind of humbling. I thought I knew stuff about computers, and turns out I don't really know that much about computers. I had a bunch of legal issues with the content I was trying to upload to my website. The content that I've uploaded might not be legally public. That was a difficulty I did not anticipate. All this legal stuff. It's not legal, from what I can tell. Unless they give me permission, which they still might. So, hoping.